What if the amount of times a person's heart beats in their lifetime is decided at birth and anyone could see it with a camera app? Some people would have millions, maybe even billions left. What if the girl you liked had a disease that made hers drastically lower than others? And so hearing this, you want to help her in her quest to live her life to the fullest in the little remaining time she has. So you do just that, taking her to the beach, on roller coasters, a fireworks festival, and so much more. Having fun together and learning that she can really sing. And after some convincing, getting her to join the light music club and getting to perform at the school festival. And to not give much of the story away, we'll end the short summary there. Let's talk Toki Doki. This isn't a sauce and is actually a pretty sad manga to read. But that being said, it's from the same mangaka behind Nisekoi Naoshi Komi. I've pretty much summed up a lot of it, but wanted to get more in depth about it. Just a warning before we get into it, this manga talks about death and disease, and if you're not comfortable with that, then this video is not for you. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. The manga starts out with a funeral shot and a narrator talking about Takagi Hatsu, who died at age 21, before zooming in on her portrait and going to a cover image. It then cuts to a classroom with our main character's thoughts, talking about a Takagi Hatsu who transferred to his countryside school during the second year of high school. And ever since she transferred, she hasn't talked or hung out with others, but this guy is staring at her. It cuts to that guy introducing himself as Ijima Hato, who's nicknamed Popo, just living the life of a normal teen guy who joined the light music club in school. And the him right now is interested in Takagi. There's some backstory on her about how she doesn't talk to anyone at school, goes home right away afterwards, and sits out during PE. Rumors started about how she has health problems and no one knows the truth. And the MC has taken an interest in her as more mysteries piled up. Cutting to mid-July, the two finally crossed paths. Popo is walking into the infirmary to ditch class, but someone screams. He looks and sees a half-naked Takagi and immediately gets flustered, thinking he saw everything, but instead of looking at her figure, there's something else that caught his eye, this being a pacemaker in her chest. It cuts to some time later, and this Kokuhaku disease is brought up. It then shows the two on the roof talking about this disease and how a celebrity died because of it. Takagi says that a weak heart makes this irregular heartbeat. This disease is in the same category as cardiomyopathy, and it happens to 1 in a million people. She then says that the amount of times a person's heartbeat in their lifetime is decided when they're born, but a person who has this illness has less beats than everyone else. She hands him her phone that's connected to a pacemaker in her chest. He looks and sees that she has a little over 220 million heartbeats left, which seems like a lot, but in reality, she only has 6 to 7 years left until her heartbeats stop. The pacemaker in her chest is what supports her and reminds her of what time she has left. As her time shortens, the faster her heart beats, which is why she sits out during PE and doesn't do strenuous exercise. But while he's listening to this, all he's thinking is she sure can talk, and asks why she talked to him. She thought that if he knew her condition, he'd keep it a secret rather than tell others, since at her previous school the rumors became uncomfortable, and she could tell by looking at him that he wasn't a bad person who would spread those. All he could say is that she had it rough, but other than her short life, everything is normal. And in truth, she wants to get along with everyone and have fun like them. And if things keep going on like this, she would prefer to live her life out every second she has left, but she's afraid to do it since it would shorten her lifespan. And he thought the girl in front of him looked so sad talking to him. So he yells out to her, asking if those are her true feelings, and if so, he'll help her live her life to the fullest and make her heart beat like crazy. She's confused, but it cuts to the two at the sea, and it's her first time being there. Her heart's beating like crazy from excitement, but he thinks that her reaction is not what he was expecting. But he asks if this is really okay, since he did say he would help her, but if her heart gets pumping like that, if it's really the right thing. She tells him not to worry, since she was going to do this herself sooner or later, and it's a good opportunity. Besides, he's the first person to know about her disease. People normally wouldn't have done this, but he thought about her feelings, and that's why he said those words, and she thanks him. He blushes and turns, really excited that he got to see her smile while she's talking about how she doesn't know much about the outside world, and how she wasn't sure about the first thing to do, and was glad she had someone to help her with it. He smiles and is all excited to help her with anything she wants to do, but she tells him that she doesn't know his name, and so he tells her that it's Hato. Her mind goes to Pigeon though, Popo, and it clicks that that's the reason his name is Popo. And that's how their summer holidays started. They would go on a bunch of adventures, one of those being an amusement park. And this surprised Popo, that being her personality is completely different from her appearance, where she looks gloomy at school but really loves to talk and move around, even having a sense of humor. And she also has the best reactions, like having ice cream. He's a little taken aback from that difference, and he's the only one who knows about this side of her, which makes her happy. Each and every day, the two had so much fun together. And when the two are biking, she grabs onto him to make sure she doesn't fall, and he enters this moment of bliss before hearing her heartbeat, which reminds him of a healthy person's lifespan and how everything is different for her. For her, even moving around while playing could cost her life. But he asks her what her parents think about their arrangement. She tells him that she explained the situation to them and they understood, and told her to do as she pleases. She's really happy, but feels a little sad. He looks down and is about to say something, but she tells him not to, and tells him not to say any more. He pauses, thinking he's an idiot, before trying to play it off, instead inviting her to go to a fireworks festival in a nearby town, and tells her not to hold back as summer has only just begun. She agrees to go and smiles, thanking him. So it cuts to somewhere, and Popo asks her what's that thing on her head, asking if it's a guitar pick. When she was younger, she dreamt of becoming an artist, and that's the first pick she bought. She used to compose songs, write poems, and practice singing, but gave it all up, which surprised Popo. And of course he wants to listen, which she denies, saying it's not something that others should listen to, and it's the only thing she won't do. But he pauses, then says to think of it as a one-in-a-lifetime chance to feel excited. Also saying that he understands she feels shy, but playing the songs you composed for others is part of youth, and she already went through the trouble of composing them, so why not take the chance to play them? She pauses and it cuts to them somewhere where she caved and he's got that JoJo-ass reaction face. She tells him that she's only doing it once and to not laugh, but he's just sitting there as she begins. And as she's singing, his face goes from excited to shocked as he thinks of something. It cuts to them at school with him introducing 3 other people who play in the school's light music club, Kuronami being an important player later, and begs her to sing one more time in front of them. She doesn't know what's happening, and he tells her to just sing, which she does. In the middle of her singing, Popo is thinking about how her singing is soothing and tugs their heartstrings, and it's like a charm that draws them closer. Everyone is surprised by her singing, and he asks her to join the band as a vocalist and to perform at the Culture Festival in October. They never had a vocalist, and Popo's terrible at it, and he says it's the artist Takagi Hatsu's first performance. She pauses and decides to join, and they marched on forward to the festival with practice sessions. They wrote music for a band version, and they practiced even if they didn't know they'd make it, but kept pushing on. Popo explained her situation with everyone, who understood and supported her, which helped her relax. But that guy from before has a look in his eyes. It cuts to the two walking, talking about how the past few months felt like a dream, and she never thought she'd be practicing with other band members like this, all because he saw her changing. To change topic, he asks her to go have fun after the festival, since they haven't been able to, but she grabs his hand, saying this is exciting already, and runs off. He pauses and then gets red from either excitement or embarrassment, and it cuts to them about to perform, where she's nervous and freaking out. He says to take a breather, but her heart is racing, which he plays a little joke and says to go get some fresh air since they still have time. Kuronami tells Popo the same thing, and it shows Takagi outside where it's windy. But the wind is so strong, it knocks the pick out of her hair. She runs back to Popo to tell him the situation. She was going to use it as a good luck charm during the performance, and there's no real time since it's almost time to prep, but Popo says that he'll go search for it, and Kuronami's shocked by this. Popo says not to worry since he's not important to the performance and that he'll find it. So he begins his search, looking through the bushes around the festival while panting. It cuts back to the others, and Kuronami is handing back her pick. She's relieved, but asks where Popo is. Kuronami tells her that he won't be coming, and that he won't be on stage, and he tells her something. It cuts to Popo on the roof, and Takagi rushing to him, looking pale. She takes out her phone and shows that he only has a little over 1,000 beats left. She starts asking why, and he realizes that Kuronami told her, and he tells her that he has about 15 minutes of life left. When his parents found out he had the disease, they asked for help from relatives to attach the device to him, and told him to use the remaining time however he wanted, even if they're unhappy with it. She still asks why, and he told her that if he told her, she'd hold herself back. He was surprised to hear that she had the same disease as him, and even told him how she felt, since he thought the same thing. If he were to die, he'd want to live a life full of excitement, and dyed his hair and joined the light music club when entering high school. That's why he wanted to cheer her on with all his heart, because he had so much fun in his life due to her, and he thanks her. He actually wanted to be on stage with her, but was running around. She wipes her tears and calls him an idiot, saying that she'll she'll be with him, but he tells her that they put so much effort into today and he'll be listening from there, and that it's exciting to sing in front of a crowd, and that he wants to hear her singing. It cuts to the auditorium and Kuronami sees that she's back, saying it's time for them to go. They go on stage and the audience is surprised to see Takagi there with them, but she begins to sing and sings her heart out as it cuts back to Popo thinking he should have kissed her. He left the world at age 17 and left with the face of an idiot. Afterwards, we learn that Takagi debuted as a songwriter after high school and became a hot topic, becoming well known basically overnight. She announced her illness to everyone and sang songs that gave courage to others. She kept singing in the next few years with all her heart and soul, and over 40,000 people came to her last concert, with her parents taking care of her until her last breath. She died at age 21, and her face was that of someone who was satisfied. And that ends the chapter. The manga doesn't end there, but the other chapters are actually terrible to be considered sequels to this, but this chapter is actually amazing. It really hits you in the feels throughout the entire thing, reminding you that these characters aren't gonna be there anymore by the time it ends. And the mangaka knew this, making these characters so easy to get attached to, and takes it away like, what the fuck, man. If you're looking to feel sad and listen to, I don't know, unravel for the next few hours, read this. And that's all I got. I'll see you in the next one.
Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul. These hentai babes make me drool. Hasune Miku is great. She makes me masturbate. Fairy tale.